Hey guys, Brian Capone from the Capone for Your Home team here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Fox and Roach Realtors. Just another video blog. It's been a little while. Fell off the wagon just a little bit. It's not easy to do these things consistently. We're also down an assistant, so he was my cameraman. He went on to bigger and better things. So needed to take a little break. Back at it. I'm running the show right now, so I'll have to upload all this stuff to our website and social media. But lazy summer. It's Friday, 5 o'clock. Promised myself I'd get a video out there. And before I leave the office, I'm going to do it. We are in our, I guess you could say entering, or we are in our seasonal slow period. July and August. Definitely August is slow. July can still be a little busy if we're still settling on some things we put under contract in the spring. But for the most part, we're kind of hitting our lazy days of summer, and that will go until really after Labor Day, mid-late September. But what did I want to talk to you about today? Today I wanted to talk a little bit about zoning and land use, and specifically use an example of a transaction I had that fell through at really the 11th hour. This was a property that we identified over Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day Saturday. We saw it, we loved it. It was in Passyunk Square, right on the park. 1200 block of Wharton Street. It was a storefront, office space, and then 2 one-bedroom apartments up top. It was really going to be a home run. Not ideal for my buyers in that they wanted all residential. They really didn't want a commercial space downstairs, but they recognized the value. They recognized the location, and we thought it was a good long-term investment. So moving along, cash transaction, everything was going to be great. Until we get to the point where the seller had to provide to us what's called a city cert. It's really a document from the Department of License and Inspections that tells are there any violations on the property, and that could be building without permits, it could be trash if you have a vacant lot, something like that. But it also states the permitted use that they have on file for the property. And this came back as a single-family home, which was definitely a head-scratcher because it was an office and 2 apartments. So we did some investigating. We found out that the seller at one point filed for a variance to turn the property back to a single-family home, even though it was not being used as a single-family home. Why they did that, I could only theorize, probably because insurance is cheaper. I don't know if I really have any other reason why that would be, and that's just me kind of thinking out there, and I don't know if that's the case. Regardless, it was a turn-off to my buyers. And this is kind of where really what I want to talk about in this vlog is, what did we do to correct this? Number one, I went down to the Department of License and Inspections and I talked to an examiner, which is no easy feat. Kind of have to wiggle your way in the door because they really only want to talk to the homeowner these days. They don't want to talk to the potential purchaser, and they definitely don't want to talk to the realtor. So I had to do a little finagling to get myself back there, and even then, we didn't get a very clear answer. The great thing of working at an office like Berkshire Hathaway, I have a ton of other realtors with a lot of experience in this stuff. I spoke to a few other agents. My old mentor, Vince Catrappa, who's really funny when he gives his explanation. Ultimately, I spoke to an attorney who specializes in zoning and land use. He gave his interpretation of really looking at the zoning code, which is just a total head scratcher. It's a little ambiguous, and particularly in this case, because the property was zoned. CMX 1, and we were trying to ascertain what you could do by right with CMX 1 zoning versus what would need a variance. Ultimately, the attorney gave his interpretation. He also reached out to another examiner he knows at L&I. Came back that by right with CMX1 zoning, it could be a commercial storefront. It could also be a one-family dwelling. So you could have 1 apartment, not 2. If you needed the second apartment, you would have to go through the variance process. The variance process, as you know, is hit or miss. You have to get neighborhood approval. You have to go to the ZBA. They may grant it, they may not. Most people felt that it could be granted, but ultimately my buyers were not interested in that. They could also have converted those 2 one-bedroom apartments to 1 2-bedroom apartment, or they could configure the 2 units to make it 1 unit. whether it was 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. They ultimately decided not to do that. They didn't think it was a good, it wasn't what they wanted to do. So we ultimately terminated, which is a whole other story. And lo and behold, that property is now pending and under agreement again very, very quickly because it was a good deal and somebody was willing to take that risk on. So long story short, what do you need to do? The zoning code in Philadelphia, which was recently changed, you need to be really experienced in it and a really smart person to know exactly how things are going to play out. Not all realtors know those things, myself included, and I'm the first to admit that. What's important to do in your agreement, put a due diligence clause in there. Hey, whether it's deeds, restrictions, and zoning, we're going to specifically elect that if we're waiving inspections and everything else. Or if we're just going to put a blanket due diligence clause in the agreement that says, hey, within 7 to 10 days, we're going to verify the permitted use of this property, whether variance is needed. That is certainly the right thing to do if you have concerns about that. Some people will keep it as an illegal property, which is, believe me, there's plenty of those out there. And they will, roll the dice if they ever have to evict or something comes up or insurance purposes. If the insurance company only wants to insure on whatever the permitted use of the property is. They don't want to insure on what it's currently being used as. So you could open yourself up to, okay, we have a claim, but are we going to get paid on this claim, or is the insurance company going to push back? Get your licenses. Make sure your permitted uses are in line. Make sure your ducks are in order, because it may not haunt you right away, but it could catch you, on the back end. It could cost you a lot of money and a lot of aggravation. And also reach out to me. I have, specifically through this experience, I have a great relationship with a zoning land use attorney, also a real estate broker, who for a nominal fee, $250, but comparatively speaking, in the big picture, it's cheap, who will analyze the current zoning, interpret what they see as permitted uses, and also have deeper connections within L&I and zoning, and can get questions answered that me as a realtor who handles just as many straightforward single family or more single family transactions, who doesn't handle as many duplexes, triplexes, multifamily stuff, commercial stuff, they can get a lot of those questions answered, and it's worth the investment. So just a quick kind of off the top of my head vlog about encountering zoning, land use questions and problems with transactions in Philly, because if you ever looked at the zoning code, they should just say it's, you need to be able to read and write in hieroglyphics, because it's a little difficult to figure out what the heck they mean. And, the nature of urban real estate, things are different. Things changed over time. Uses change, and you're not going to find something that fits completely in the box that is, exactly how the code interprets it. Sometimes it is up for interpretation, whether that's an examiner, the first step, or going deeper to the ZBA. Brian Capone, the Capone for Your Home team, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Fox and Roach Realtors. Have a wonderful weekend.